I remember what happened. We really need to speak about this one, because we've been speaking about it for so long, and we've, in fact, I don't want to say we were the first ones that kind of discussed this potential situation, but among the first ones. I remember we were discussing this even like last year at Superbet, when Meta, Facebook, and Ray-Ban came up with the glasses, the AI glasses, and now it happened. It finally happened. A student, at a hackathon, decided to create an app that basically connects with your AI glasses, transmits live the moves. I believe it was on Instagram Live or something like that, and has a built-in app that manages to scan the board, understand where the pieces stand, transmit that to Stockfish, get the best move, and basically tell you the best move. I believe right now is via audio in your ears, but my guess is very soon, if not already, we have that. It could be just simply shown on the AI glasses. So it would be undetectable, unless you obviously have, the anti-cheating mechanisms in place.
These glasses make you the best chess player in the world. Oh, and Eddie's gonna use them to win in an IRL match.
All you need to do is put the glasses on, and we use AI to analyze the pieces on the board. Plug that into Stockfish, and the most optimal move is read aloud through the speakers on the headphone.
So things are evolving fast. Over-the-board chess is kind of getting a hint of what online chess has been dealing with for a very long time. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm not sure why this is something we should be excited about. And also, I'm not sure...
Oh, I'm not excited. I'm not sure I'm excited about it.
Assume hasn't already happened. And yeah, I've already said, like, as much as people want to downplay it, cheating is not only a serious issue, but will probably continue to be, or perhaps become a more serious issue. And the more serious it becomes, it also may be that the less obvious it becomes. And you may come to a point where, like, I don't know how to protect the integrity of the game, but it will take some very tough measures. But yeah, like AI glasses were a pretty obvious first candidate for like easy ways to cheat.
Luckily, I do think that they're detectable if you have the anti-cheating measures, but this only can be applied to over the board.
Yeah, to
like
over
if
the
you
board.
actually do it online with glasses, zero chances to catch it. That's it. Game over.
I mean, the thing is, like, people really just downplay it so much. I mean, just for like the most basic. Here's the thing. I think people assume that like maybe the cheating rate is, I don't know, like 5% do it, 2% do it, or 5% have done it. But there's a few, I think, assumptions we can make, and a few like very, I mean, undeniable statistical things we can kind of lay out. One is that it's probably not 1 or 3% or 5%. Just to like give you a kind of, I mean, this is obviously not completely watertight, but I think this is very significant. Like, let's just take the top 100 players in the world in classical rating. And we don't know how many exactly were banned, right? For cheating.
We don't.
Some were. But we do know some who were banned.
We do.
So let's just take the top 100 and see the amount that, for example, I know were banned from one chess site or another, or were caught over the board, which obviously caught over the board is a much smaller number. So I'm not going to say any names, but I'll just give you a number of a number that I know 100% is either that or more. Like, it's at the very minimum, it's that. So let me count from the top.
Ta 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 ta. Drum roll. Ta 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 ta.
1,
We have quite a few,
2,
most likely. It's a sad situation. It's an alarming situation, and
3,
I've seen
4,
people
5,
minimize the effect. Keep going with the counting.
6,
Yes.
7, 8,
Ooh.
9.
Ooh.
Wait. 10,
Ouch.
11,
It's high. It's
11.
high. It's high. Let's
The amount
leave it
that
at 11.
I know have been from one or another platform or over the board. Now, I don't know all who have. It could be that I know all. It could be that it's just 11. But I cannot, of course, assume that there's not more. But so that's 11%. So what is the perhaps false positive rate? Now, I mean, what would you assume? It's either that they get
I
it
don't
right
believe
all.
in false positives too much.
Yeah, maybe they just get it right all the time.
I would
There is
say
this-
0.5% false positives. I don't think there's more than that.
If we're being absolutely generous, one of these 11 maybe was falsely banned. Probably not. But let's just assume that maybe there's a chance. Let's just say it's 10%. Now, what do you think is the likelihood? Are there more? Is there a higher percentage of cheating going on as we go lower in rating, or is there a higher percentage as we go higher in rating?
As we
Just
go
your-
lower in rating.
Okay,
There's a
that's your
higher
intuitive
percentage.
assumption. We
Yeah.
can only assume on this
Yeah,
one.
that's a guess, educated guess, intuitive.
They're
guess.
like they're a reasonable assumption. That's a reasonable assumption also because if you look at all the players that chess.com bans in a month, they might not give the names, but they give the titles. They'll say like 0 GMs, 2 IMs, 7 FMs, 10 CMs, so on and so
Exactly.
forth.
Yeah.
Which of course is logical also because there are more FMs than GMs. So there's a
Percentage
higher
wise,
pool.
it might be less. Yes. Or it might be somewhere around there.
But it's also very logical that the people with the most to lose might be a bit more cautious. So if, let's say, 10% of the top 100 have been caught, and we assume that they've caught everyone who has ever cheated among the top 100, which are also like very generous assumptions to make, then we can either just put that 10% across the board. We could also maybe reasonably assume that it goes higher as we go lower, and then we're kind of just guessing. But certainly, like Random Title Tuesday has anywhere between usually 500 and 800 players. Sometimes it might have more. Sometimes it may have a bit less, but you might, I mean, I saw recently one with 900 players. Now, assuming that 10% of those players have at some point shown a willingness to cheat and been caught, that means that you may have between 50 and 90 players among that pool. And now we can make a few assumptions. One we can make is that all the people who have ever cheated and been caught will never cheat again, right?
Sure.
It's a possible assumption to
Sure.
make.
Why not?
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's very generous.
Yeah.
But it's possible. The other assumption we can make is that chess.com caught all, or whatever website, caught all the cheaters. They have not missed a single one. That's a very unreasonable assumption, I think, because they definitely take time to catch people, and they definitely don't have a 100% foolproof method. Like, there's no way that they both have no false positives and also catch everyone. That would be too perfect a system. So we can probably assume that there are some people who have cheated who have gone undetected. And the other thing is that we can assume, like, the only way to assume there aren't like maybe 50 to 80 or whatever players who are willing to cheat in a single Title Tuesday is to assume that after chess.com catches someone cheating, that they both never cheat again after they're re-released into the general pool of players, and also that new players don't have a temptation to cheat. So basically, they've caught all the people willing to cheat, and they're just eliminated. Like imagine a society where you catch all the thieves, and then everyone's like, okay, I'll never steal again, because obviously you can catch thieves. So that would be basically the assumption. It seems entirely like it's just fantasy, right? So then I play with the assumption that I'm playing an 11-round event, and there are maybe 50 to 80 people in this tournament who I may play against, who are willing to cheat against me. That's assuming that there aren't like maybe 20 more who are completely undetected by their anti. So why is it unreasonable for me to say, or like to say that I may play among the 11 games, like one, maybe two people who are willing to cheat, and maybe it's for a few moves, I'll never know. So just like if we go by the numbers, being extremely charitable, it's still a massive problem. That's being extremely charitable. That's assuming that they've caught everyone and they don't have like maybe like if they only catch half, then now we're adding like a bunch of like maybe 100 people to Title Tuesday now, and it soon gets to the point that's like completely overrun.
Yeah,
So
it's really a huge problem, and I mean, to be honest, we've tried to find solutions, and we've kind of discussed this at length so many times. I think probably under wraps things are happening, and we might not know it. Perhaps anti-cheating methods are improving, hopefully, especially online. Over the board, obviously quite tricky.
I'm going to say like
Over the board,
I'm
it's all
also,
about the resources, right? The resources
I also
of the
want to give them
tournament.
credit. Yeah, it is about resources. And I want to give them credit because I think that they are releasing something which will perhaps help enormously, which is that I know that some players have already been asked to do this, and they may roll it out for everyone at some
The
point.
proctor, right?
Yeah, which is that they have this software, which I don't really know too much about it. I've just heard about it, but you basically go in and you're on kind of camera, and also like it has access maybe to your processes and so on your computer. And then maybe they can have AI that will like
But now this is a huge
automatically check
problem,
eye
right?
movements and things like that. I don't know exactly, but it's definitely a big step in the right direction. So I'm not trying to say all this to be hypercritical. It's just that if you ignore the problem, it only gets worse.
But I feel this whole situation with the glasses, every angle I've seen, it's only based on what's going to happen to over the board chess. But I feel these AI glasses are much worse for online chess, because at that point, you're going to have proctors in the room with every single player playing every Title Tuesday every week, which is impossible. Obviously, no company is going to have those type of resources, so something has to happen in terms of the format at that point. Like, who are you going to let into the tournament? Because again, you cannot see it. You can incorporate two cameras. You can ask the players to have two cameras. You're not going to be able to see anything on those cameras. There's glasses. Okay, sure, the Ray-Bans right now, you can still see the camera, but there's AI glasses that I'm sure are available. I'm seeing ads all the time on Instagram and whatnot. You cannot really understand what you're looking at. They look just like normal glasses. You cannot spot their cameras. You cannot spot their screen inside of the lenses. You cannot spot anything. So if you don't have somebody to check them with some sort of a scanner, some sort of an electronic scanner, you stand no chance to stop those players from cheating.
Yeah. I mean, I also don't think live proctors would help with that because they would need to have
Electronic
equipment.
scanners. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you're not going to send out 100 live proctors all with equipment. It's just,
Impossible. Impossible.
yeah.
No way. I mean, it's it's really bad
I,
for
I
online
mean,
chess.
it's a really serious issue. I don't really know what the solution is because I mean, you could like make it more restrictive in terms of who's joining. I don't know, but that's also very elitist. So
Exactly.
it's not
Yeah.
really a solution. Um, and then you'd also have to assume that like top players are entirely ethical and not ready to cheat, which I don't know why we have that assumption. Not to say that I have any reason to mistrust my colleagues, but we should probably treat them the same way as everyone else, which is that there's a possibility that any singular player is willing to. I mean, it's a sort of ethical question, which we can't assume everyone is honest. We can't assume everyone is dishonest. Um, and we definitely can't assume someone is more honest because they're 2800 rather than 2730 or 2730 rather than 2660. Like maybe you could personally think that, but definitely as an organization, you can't make that that assumption.
Yeah.
So yeah, AI glasses or other things like, I mean, I think we've like mostly ignored the problem because there isn't an easy solution and because it doesn't really change things so much for like, it all looks normal to the outside public. They think nothing's wrong is going on. The players are mostly quiet because most get paid reasonably. And, if you um, are too loud about it anyway, it's not like it helps you. And usually you get backlash. And the players who are cheating, whoever they may be, are very happy. The sponsors don't really know anything. They're not really involved in chess, so it's all the same to them. So everyone goes about, and behind the scenes, as you know, there's just enormous discussion.
Yeah.
Just like it's always the topic of discussion. And as much as like the maybe outside public thinks that cheating isn't an issue, among like every grandmaster I've ever talked to, it's just the severity, their assumption of the severity ranges from like most people are cheating to a significant portion are cheating. So I mean, obviously also very often trends into paranoia, but you can't really avoid paranoia when you have an issue of which the scale is unclear, but nothing is really being done. It just everyone will trend into paranoia
Yeah. I
at some
feel
point.
I feel it's one of those instances, especially where at the moment where people have more incentive to not necessarily close an eye to it, but basically accept the fact that they don't control the situation. Like you as a player don't really have any control over the situation, who you're going to face,
Oh,
whether
yeah,
you're going to face
absolutely.
a cheater or not, and you sort of have to come to the realization that that's just the nature of it right now, and you have to trust chess.com, FIDE, whoever is policing this type of things. You have to trust that they're going to have the best judgment and they're going to try to catch them. And there's going to have to be a combination of factors of how they catch them, whether it's moves, whether it's AI analyzing their games and their moves. And at that point, you don't have 100% certainty, so you have to defend against potential lawsuits and stuff like that. But yeah, it's invisible. It's an invisible problem, and it's much more invisible than in other sports where, let's say, for example, in jiu-jitsu, first of all, steroids are allowed, so it's not even a problem in jiu-jitsu. But in other sports,
Yeah, the
obviously,
issue in chess is that you can't because it's not like steroids. It's not enhancing. It's just changing. It's like
yeah,
if I use a computer, it's probably better if I just like press the space bar and make the computer moves rather than use my own input in any way. I mean, there used to be like advanced chess, but I think right now advanced chess would just be pressing the space bar and anyone could do it. there is no like human input anymore. There's only human input in terms of like analysis that maybe what would be most useful for a human against another human. If it's just like two computers, then there's no, the only like art, if you want to call it that, in cheating is not getting caught, I
To not
guess.
get caught, yeah. To make some
Which
stupid
is-
moves occasionally.
which is probably pretty easy because again, if you look at blitz games, like today I played a bunch of games over the board against Grigori, my second. I mean, it's just major blunders at some point, you know, it usually goes into major blunders. So it's not like you have to be super subtle. And you probably don't even have to do a very, very accurate blunder check. You just have to like at some point exploit the last blunder some of the time, and you probably increase your results massively and probably undetectably as well. So from the moves, you just can't, like, there's nothing to talk about. I mean, I wouldn't even like talk about the moves in the, if I'm suspecting cheating. People always say, well, what from the moves? It's like, oh, it looks like a natural game. It doesn't matter. I mean, you cannot draw any conclusions from the moves. You can maybe like form a personal opinion, but it will be subjective. It's so it's probably not worth talking about even from that point of view. And I would assume that human intuition on this may be very often wrong. And also, you'll probably be biased by the player and your personal opinion about them, whether their rating or even like your opinion of them as a friend. Maybe there will be a lot of biases in terms of that. So yeah, will AI be able to detect better than a human? Um, I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, like hopefully we can go in that direction that AI detection will be. But again, I have a feeling that there's always this backlash. It's like it's a very common trend, you know, someone is closed by, let's say, chess.com, and then they make a public appeal. Uh, and then like very, very often, a lot of the support is on their side, which to me is a bit odd. It's like if the public support is on their side, or even if some of it is on their side, or half of it, whatever percent, I don't know, whatever percentage it may be, you're basically saying that you do not trust the major chess websites with their banning practices. In which case, you can no longer trust anything in terms of the results. Like if the people who they ban as cheaters aren't cheaters, and then most likely either there's no cheating, which would be humanly very unlikely because people do tend to try to take advantage, right? In anything. In poker, people try to take advantage if they can. Any sort of betting games, in any sports, you will see a history of like trying to take performance enhancing drugs
Always. I mean,
across the board.
Lance Armstrong.
So unless chess players are just absolutely pristine and special, then we should assume there is a percentage of attempt cheating. So either chess.com can't catch the cheat, like they catch cheaters incorrectly. It's all false positives, which would also mean that the people they're not catching are cheaters, which means that everything's wrong and you can't trust any results anymore. Or you should trust them. Like you should either put your trust in them, at least that the people they ban are, in the vast majority of cases, that is a correct
Chess players
catch.
are not special. No. Chess players are
I mean,
not
obviously,
special.
like chess players are just normal people. Like we're probably just as likely to cheat as cyclists are to. Actually, maybe not, because the cyclists were completely like all of them were taking.
It was kind of
PB.
assumed that you're supposed to be cheating if you want to stay at the top.
You know, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I know it's not that bad because I'm because I'm not cheating.
Or are
But
you?
it's funny. The Title Tuesday like yearly stats got released, and it has all like the most random stats ever, like who has the highest drawing percentage, who has the highest win percentage in white. And I didn't even check it. I just got told this by someone else, like some of the numbers. And I realized that my statistics are exceptional only in the way that they are the most unexceptional. There is nothing exceptional in them. I would win the award for most unexceptional statistics. Like the only list I really appear on is like I'm ninth highest in winning rate with white pieces, something like that. Like I'm not even top 5 in anything.
You don't very often make it to Kramnik's videos, at least not at the top of the standings.
Yeah,
It's a bit sad.
It's a bit sad, yeah. I have to say, because I kind of was hoping that I would be suspicious at least at times. Like that's usually a good sign. Um, like Magnus is always going to be at the top of a number of these lists, and so is Hikaru, and Ali Reza will show up here and there, and so on. There were some fun statistics as well, like highest drawing. I actually, when I was asked to guess who had the highest draws, I like had a number of very good guesses because I feel like I follow a lot of these Title Tuesdays and I have an idea of like who plays super solid and who plays not solid at all, and so on and so forth. Anyway, we're kind of straying.
We're digressing.